Hi, and welcome. This is a brief video to help walk you through how to complete your monthly reports. It's really important that you turn these in on time, usually by the 25th of the month, certainly by the end of the month. We'll send them to you by the 25th if you get them done quick. That's great, but get them done by the end of the month or maybe a few days thereafter at the very latest so that we can make sure you're staying on track with your profit first allocations that you and we committed to in our vision meeting. But without further ado, this is just about how to actually complete the report. So what I'm going to do is show you the report that you will have a copy of. This is a sample report, and want to start working on it with you. You'll notice that the report is protected. I'm going to ask that I've made a decision, at least for now, not to send it out with a password on the protection. I may change that, so by the time you get this, maybe it is. But right now, they're not saved. I ask that you leave it protected. Don't change the formulas because that will mess stuff up. But why unprotected? I mean, why did I make it password protected? Well, because I think that some of you may be interested how it works, and I want you to be able to look at the formulas and see. And of course, I'm always asking for your feedback to improve it. But here we are. So we start with the first allocation. Now, you may only be doing two a month, and that's fine. You don't have to do all of them, but we wanted to make room for as many as you're doing, and this will they'll all total up, and it'll all be fine. If the rest are zero, just mark them as zero. So we start with the real revenues. What were the real revenues? And if you'll remember, real revenues mean revenues that don't include pass-through money. So if you're a law firm and you take uh, court costs as part of the revenue, but you turn right around and write a check, don't count those as revenues. They're never revenues. They were never going to be shared by any other part of your business. They were never going to become part of profit. If you're um, a any business that has any pass-through income. Anyway, so this is real revenues that can be used by the business. So let's just, for our example, we're going to say for our first allocation that we're going to do, we're only going to do two in this example, but you can do for, so we're doing them twice a month. We're going to do ours on the 6th and on the 20th this month. So we'll do the 5th and the 20th. So this will be March 5th. And the real revenues for this, which will be all the revenues since February 20th, would 2 weeks worth. And let's just say in our business that we got $7,500. Well, let's make it so we can see everything happen easily. We've got $10,000 of revenues in that time. And then we also enter what our ending bank balances are in our profit first account. So how much money is in the revenue account? Well, if we got $10,000 and we cleaned it out the way we should have, there should be $10,000 in there. And let's just, for fun, say that there's $20,000 in our profit account, and there's $5,000 in the owner's comp account. Our tax reserve account has $5,000 in it, and our marketing account has $2,000 in it right now. And these, of course, will never be round numbers like this. And our operating expense account has $2,500 in it. Keep that pretty tight, right? And then we go to our TAPs. These are the target allocations that we have for this quarter, right? So they will be the same for each allocation period during the quarter. Because they'll be the same throughout the quarter. But what were they? Well, let's say in this business, we had owner's comp at 20%, profits set at 5%, tax reserves at 5%, the marketing set at 4%, and we don't have another, which then makes operating expenses 66%. It has to be. Oh, by the way, here's the inconvenient account. Let's say, in fact, we're going to reduce it. We're going to say the profit account local had 5,000 and the inconvenient account had 15,000. This is where, the account at another bank that where we're stashing our profits and our tax reserves so we keep them far, far away from the business. We put our business name here, Sample. I'm calling it a Sample Law Firm. It could be Sample Business, doesn't matter. And again, the date of the allocation. So we do that, and then we've done. That's it. That's as long as it takes to do one allocation. Then we do the second allocation of the month. You'll notice Sample Business stays the same. Can't change that now. Let's say that this one is on the 20th of the month. And let's say that our revenues for this period were also $10,000. What I didn't show you in allocation one, I'm sorry, I filled out the tabs, and that tells us what the target allocation should have been. To finish the report, we've got to actually put down what the actual allocations were. So let's say in this case, we actually did put 500 aside there. We actually did put 2,000 aside there. We actually did put 500 aside for taxes, as we should have. But we were only able, for some reason, to put $300 away for marketing. I'll see why that becomes important later. Which means that we actually allocated $6,700 to operating expenses. For some reason, we gave operating expenses more money than we should have. All right, now we can move on to allocation two. Sorry about that. So allocation two, we have, again, $10,000 come in the door. Our target allocations, our ending bank balances, of course, are going to be different. Let's just remember real quick what they were. You're not going to do what I'm about to do because you have to put your real numbers in. But in our example, we don't have any real numbers. So we're just going to say that now our revenues account has $10,000 in it again. Our profits have the original $5,000 plus $1,750. So we should have now $6,750 in there. Our owner's comp, which before had $5,000, but we put $2,000 in before, had $7,000 in it. The tax reserves had $5,000 in, but now have $5,500 in. We haven't sent anything to the inconvenient account, so those don't change. We have $2,400 now in the marketing. And operating expenses, again, let's say we're running pretty lean, only have $1,200, and the inconvenient accounts stay the same, probably, unless you have done a distribution out to them. Our actual allocations this period, we're going to be exactly right. So 500, 2,000, 500, 400, and 6,600 operating expenses. That's our report. And because we're doing this twice a month, we don't have an allocation 3, 4, or 5, which we would have if we were doing this weekly. So let's just wipe those out. We had 0. We're just going to go zeros in revenue. 0, 0, 0, no actual allocations. We cannot worry about the bank accounts, and these will all be zeroed for you in the file that you get. But so we're just going to, this one's going to have no information. That's important, and we can put whatever date we want here. It doesn't matter. So that's going to be true of allocation 3, allocation 4. We'll just go real quick and do this a little bit faster for you. And allocation 5, same thing. Okay. So then we'll see that the monthly report, now that we've done our 2 and the rest are zeroed out, we just check, make sure that they are zeroed out. The monthly report will now have our 2 allocations and the rest are empty. That's what we certainly could put. You notice how we have NA there? That's brilliant. So we could have put in allocation 3, NA, and allocation 4, and allocation 4, NA. That way the monthly report will look really nice. There's our 2 dates, the rest are NA. Here's our month actual. The revenues add up, the allocations add up, and the percent of revenues here is what we actually allocated is here. And the bank balances we have to enter because we're entering these at the end of the month. These aren't as of the 20th. This is at the end of the month of March. And so you have to put those numbers in the right way that they were. I'm just going to use the same numbers. Remember, you're putting in actual numbers so that yours should be accurate. We have $10,000 in profit, the profit account. That's these. We have 10,000 in profit. Again, remember, you're putting in your actual numbers. And we'll just say here we have 1,750 in the operating. And I think 40 and 35 was right. Or if no, it was 15 and 10. So we'll have those in here. And again, just can't stress enough, these are supposed to be real numbers from you, not the same as your second or last report. 15 and 10, 15. should be. All right, so now that it's complete, you'll see that the 2 months, or the 2 allocations that you did, the 5th and the 20th of the month, came in here. Here are your totals. Here's how it actually broke out. And here we see that our month goal, which we will write down from our plan, was $10,000. You notice you don't have to fill out anything else. The TAPs these come from what you listed here, because again, the TAPs don't change month to month or distribution by distribution. So these TAPs are being pulled from the data you put in earlier. And we see that we're green on our revenues, because the goal was 10,000 in this case. If we said the goal was actually, $12,000, then we're still there. I was going to say, why are we green? Because the goal was actually $20,000. Let's say that we're yellow because it's exactly right. If the goal was $19,000, would be not $190,000. If it was 190, we're red, right? So if it was $19,000, we're better by 1,000. The profit and owner's comp, the actual allocations were 20 and 5, so they're spot on, so they're yellow. It's just a choice I made. Green is better, yellow is exact, and red is below. And our marketing was supposed to be 4%, but it actually ended up being 3.5%. So we're red on marketing, and then red on operating expenses, because they were supposed to be 66%. They were actually 66.5% for marketing expenses. It means more money. I mean, for operating expenses, it means more money was allocated than we said, which is a bad thing. And then here you can put in your report when there are gaps. So right here, what are we going to do to close that gap? That's how we fill out the report. Each allocation, as you saw, should take about 5 to 10 minutes to get done if you have all the data. And then the monthly report really just rolls up all the others. It should take another 10 minutes. So monthly total time invested in this report, about 30 minutes. Have at it. Please send questions and clarifications. Be glad to answer them. But just wanted to give you this primer on how to get it done. So happy to do that for you. I wish you great reporting. Looking forward to your reports and to continuing your profits. Take care.